Welcome back to Make Your Life Healthy. My name is Patricia Stirnkorb, and on this segment of our program, we're going to be talking about raw milk. And I was so interested in this topic, I could not wait to bring you this information and just share with you all of the stuff that I found out when I began studying about it. You know, it wasn't something that I really thought that I would ever do a segment on, or how does it really benefit our health. But when I started doing research on it, I found out that there's a great divide between raw milk, which is natural milk straight from the cow, unpasteurized and unhomogenized, and milk that we get in the grocery store. Big, huge difference in the two of them, for one thing. But when I started doing the research and found out all the background information, we're actually going to be doing a whole program on milk and the benefits of health and what it does for our health by drinking raw milk, and we're going to look at both sides of the issue. But today I just want to tell you a little bit about the raw milk and what it does for us. First of all, pasteurization started in the 1800s whenever tuberculosis and a lot of other things were just running rampant. There was a lot of disease, and they equated it back to the fact of milk. It was being passed from animals to milk, and different kinds of diseases were passed. So they decided they had to do something because the mortality rate in infants was very high, and people were getting sick all the time from the milk, and they could go right back to that as the source of where the people were getting sick from. So they decided that something needed to be done. Around the turn of the century in 1900 was when they really started pushing for pasteurization, and that was to kill the bacteria that are naturally found in milk products. And not only the bacteria that was from unclean sanitary conditions, but remember at that time people really did not know a lot about bacteria and germs and all the things that we know about today. So there was a lot of things that played into the fact that people were getting sick from drinking the milk. They had unclean conditions for the cows. They were breeding them in inner cities, trying to produce enough milk for the whole cities in places like New York and Boston and Chicago. So a lot of things contributed to the fact that people were getting sick, not just from the milk itself, but from the things that we're doing and the conditions that the milk was being gathered from. So they started pasteurizing it. And what pasteurization does, and I didn't know this, was that they heat up the milk to 160 degrees. They keep it there for 15 seconds, and then they take it back down again. So they kill any bacteria that's in the milk. The problem becomes they also kill vitamins and the probiotics that we talked about, the microorganisms that are inside milk. And if you've ever wondered, if you've heard the doctors say that when a baby is breastfeeding, they're kind of immune to different kinds of disease, that's because of the natural chemicals that are in a woman's milk, the same things that are in a cow's milk. Well, when they pasteurize it, they kill all those antibiotics or all the probiotics. They kill the microorganisms that are in it. They kill even the vitamins. So when you get a gallon of milk at the grocery store and you look at it, it'll say vitamin D added. They have to add that back into the milk so that our bodies can absorb the calcium, because we can no longer absorb the calcium from the milk that we are drinking in the grocery stores. It does not have that same chemical in it. So taking all of that stuff into account, that they're homogenizing it next, and to homogenize it, that's so that they can keep the milk fat content at whatever level they want, because a lot of doctors believe that the saturated fat that is in milk is what's causing us to gain weight and to have high cholesterol and a lot of different things. Now, milk producers will argue that point back and forth because they don't think that that's what's causing it at all. It's the other kind of things that we're eating and adding to our diets. But the saturated fat through the homogenization process is strained out. They force the milk through little tiny strains. So imagine it would be like cheesecloth, only much smaller. They force the milk through it so that the particles combine, and then you don't have the separation of the milk and the milk fat. So that's what the homogenization does. So you have pasteurization and homogenization both, and that's what's done to our milk. Then they chemically alter it again by putting in vitamin D and all of the vitamins that are chemically made, they're not natural anymore, that they put back into the milk that we drink. So dairy farmers everywhere will say the milk that we're drinking in the grocery store is nothing like the milk that comes out of the cow. Whether they are proponents for homogenization and pasteurization or not, they all agree it's not the same thing. In fact, some of them say that all we have when we're drinking it from the grocery store is chalk water. Now, that's another topic I would suppose that we would talk about. But let me tell you some of the benefits of drinking rest of the country has banned raw milk. You cannot purchase it for human consumption at all. What they have done in Ohio, which is where we live, is that they have what they call, and in a number of other states, about 13 states, they have what's called herd sharing. And the law says that if you own the cow, you're allowed to drink the milk. So they have come up with this wonderful thing that's called herd sharing, and you buy a share of a herd of cattle, of Jerseys or Guernseys, and of those you're allowed to drink that milk because you own a share of that cattle. Then you can go each week and get your milk and you can drink the milk, and then it makes it perfectly legal. They are not allowed to transport it over the lines. They are not allowed to sell it in grocery stores. And in the states where it's illegal, and there's about 17 that it is very illegal, that they will take the licenses away from the farmers, they will fine them, they will imprison them. So there's a lot of legal things that go to it as far as what they can do to you if you're selling raw milk. So why the big controversy? Well, other than the fact that they believe that it could still cause disease and we could still have problems with things like tuberculosis and other diseases, they want that to be controlled, so the government controls that. But the natural health benefits of it is that if you are lactose intolerant and you drink raw milk, you will no longer be lactose intolerant. If you have stomach distress, the same things that happens, and we have in fact, we're going to be doing a segment on IBS in just a little bit. If you have irritable bowel syndrome, it's because you don't have the probiotics in your stomach. You no longer have those living microorganisms that we used to have when we drank real milk and when we drank some of the other things. And some of the foods that we ate, it's all been taken out of it because we don't want to have those kind of things in our diet anymore. So the addition of raw milk back into your system again, when we talk about drinking some of the things like kefir milk or using yogurt or some of those kind of things, that puts the probiotics back into our system and the living microorganisms back into it. If we were drinking raw milk, we wouldn't have those issues to begin with. So that's just a couple of the things. I hope you'll be able to join us when we do the whole program on raw milk, which is coming up around the first part of September, and you'll find out a lot more of it because it's very, very interesting. When we go on further today, we're going to be talking next about thermography, particularly breast thermography, and I have some important information to share with you about that too, so please stay with us. We'll be right back.